So how do you change a heater blower motor on a Mk4 Mondeo? I'm going to give you the really short answer to this. Driver's side of the dash, up above the clutch pedal, the motor pushes into the heater. You press a tab in, you turn this motor about 30 degrees clockwise, but instead of pulling the motor out of the heater box like you would think it would bloody well come out, no, you've got to push it inside the heater box, right the way through, and you draw it out of the passenger side of the heater box. There, see ya. Okay, here's the thing. I've never had the misfortune to have to replace a heater blower motor in a Mk4 Mondeo, that is until now. The funny thing is, I've never even thought about it. And all I can think of is the Mark 1, Mark 2 and Mark 3 Mondeos, they were all underneath the glove box. The same with the Mark 5 Mondeos. So instinctively, when this job come along, and by the way, this is a 14 plate, and all it was doing is, you can start the car up, put the heater blower on, it'll work for about a minute, then it'll get noisy, and then it will slow down and stop. So it needed changing. But I didn't even think about it. I just thought, I made a beeline straight for the glove box. Ripped the glove box out, thinking the heater motor was going to be there. I can just unscrew it, take it out, it's going to be a 10-minute job. Unfortunately, my dreams of a quick, easy little heater blower removal were dashed because the heater motor isn't underneath the passenger side of the dash, as I found out rather quickly. I then decided to look underneath the scuttle panel where the wipers are, where it draws the air in. And from under there I could see that the heater motor is on the driver's side of the dash. So I get down underneath the foot pedals and flipping heck, you cannot get to it. I'm telling you now, this motor sits right up above the clutch pedal at the very top of the heater on the side of the heater box, and you cannot get to it. In fact, what I'm going to do, this is all apart at the minute. When I get it all back together, I'll show you what I've done to get this out. But when I get it back together, I'm going to see if I can get my hand up there and see if I can get hold of that heater. Because I've taken the steering column out and I've taken the clutch pedal box out to get my hand up there, thinking that the motor's going to twist and come out of the heater, and because the column and clutch pedal box are out of the way, there'll be enough room there for it to come out. How wrong I was! But I'm going to show you now how I got it out. I'm not going to do a step-by-step instructions here, because you'll kind of get the gist of it anyway. It's not that bad a job. It's a case of, if you know how to do the job, it's easy. I didn't do any research on how to do this job. I just presumed, like all the other Mondeos, and obviously this one's totally different. I'll briefly go over what I've removed in order to get to this heater blower motor. I've taken the steering column out. Now you might not have to remove that. In fact, you may not even have to remove the clutch pedal, but I'll tell you now, on the Ford ETIS system, it does tell you to remove the clutch pedal box. The reason being, there is absolutely no room to get your hand up there. I just found with the column out of the way, it gave me so much more room. But at the time, I was believing that the motor came out through the driver's side. But if you do remove this steering column, they're quite easy. Once you've got like the cowling out of the way, which is 2 screws from underneath, there's a few wiring plug connectors you disconnect. The wiring will just pull over to one side, and then you've only got like 4 10mm bolts holding the main body of the column to the car, and you have one 10mm pinch bolt which holds the column at the base onto your steering rack. And then this whole steering column will just literally lift clean out of the car. Wata! So what I'm saying, it is not a difficult job to remove this steering column. It is actually really simple. The next part I've had to remove is this clutch pedal box. Now on the Ford ETIS system, you are told to remove the clutch pedal box in order to gain access to the heater blower motor. So that's what I did. From underneath the bonnet, your clutch master cylinder, which is actually attached to the pedal box, there's 2 pipes. The lower pipe with the metal spring clip in it, I will say this, the pipe that goes into it, it's got like a little sleeve seal on it. check that sleeve seal is still there, because it tends to drop off and you could lose it. And if you lose it, you've got to buy a complete new pipe because you can't get the seal separate. And also, the bottom stud, which, see ya! See ya! The bottom stud, which is actually tack welded to the body of the car, and you've got a 13mm nut here, they tend to break off. So when you're undoing this 13mm nut, the stud breaks off the body of the car, and then you've got all kinds of trouble trying to get your nut off. They're just welded to the car really shittily, and I've had many of them break off. So I take a bit of care when removing this bottom nut at least. The top two seem to be okay, but yeah, there's 3 13mm nuts to take off. And one other thing, before you can remove this pedal box from the car, there's a bracket just there with an 8mm nut on it, 8mm bolt, sorry, which will sit on a bar just behind this clutch pedal. You have to remove this, otherwise there's not enough room to get this pedal box out. But once that's out the way, you can wriggle your pedal box. You've got to get it out in a certain way, a certain route. But once it's out and your steering column's out of the way, then you've got a fair bit of room to get your arm up there onto the heater blower motor. You know, even with the steering column and the pedal box removed, you've still got to get your arm through the dash and right up the top of the dash to get your hand on that heater blower motor. And I shit you not, my arm is literally got a great big red patch just here where my arm has been rubbing on the dash trying to get a hold of that heater blower motor. but there again, I did spend at least a good 10 minutes trying to pull this heater motor out from the driver's side of the dash, and I couldn't work out why it wasn't coming out. I'm going to now show you why it wasn't coming out. In the actual fact, I'm glad I didn't spend any longer, because my arm felt like it was going to bloody well drop off. So now our clutch pedal is removed, you need to remove this heater motor. The problem is, you can't really see up there. It's difficult. You can get a mirror in there with a light and you can see this, but you'll notice that the wiring connector is around about the 6 o'clock position. So you can get your hand and remove the wiring connector, no problem. But there's a little tab up here which sits around about the 1 o'clock position on this motor, and you've got to get your arm up, right up the dash and across here, and this little tab, if I can try and point it out here, you've got to press it. It's quite easy actually. You can get your hand up there and you can press it like that, and when you press it you turn the body of the motor probably about 30 degrees clockwise. Then this whole motor will feel loose. You'll actually feel it loose, but you can't pull it out, which is what I thought you had to do. That's why I spent 10 minutes trying to pull it out and got absolutely bloody nowhere. The reason you can't pull it out, there's a big ridge here which runs all the way around, and the casing of the heater is over this side. So the only way the motor can move is to actually go inside the heater box. And I'll show you now what I mean by that. So now we have got thus far. If you remove your glove box, okay, which is only a few Torx 25 screws I believe, and 2 10mm bolts inside the glove box, you'll see this big unit. This is, I think it's your air distribution unit. I think it's what cuts off the air from entering the vehicle for your recirculation. There's a little motor on the end here with a plug connector. You'll take the plug connector off. You don't have to touch the motor though, leave that bolted on. And there are 3 little screws, which are a little bit tricky to get to. I think they're Torx 25 heads on them. You take them 3 screws out, and once they're out, you can literally wriggle this whole unit out through the glove box. Well, where the glove box would have been sat, because you've already taken the glove box out, right? Now when I removed the glove box, I didn't take the piece of carpet off which sits below the glove box, and I also did not drop the fuse box. You don't have to. You can still get in here. And obviously once the glove box is out and you've unbolted them 3 screws on this distribution unit, the whole lot will actually come out like that through the glove box. No problem at all. So you can see the blower motor through the passenger side of the dash. Now when you release that tab and you turn the motor body like 30 degrees clockwise, you'll feel it fall inside the heater motor. Now I've got this big unit out the way, it'll just come straight out. So I can grab it and literally pull the whole motor straight out from the passenger side. Just like that. Bingo. So yeah, once you've got the motor out, they do say you're not actually supposed to handle the motor or take the weight of the whole unit by holding the fans, just like I'm doing. Oh, whoops! Oh dear. Shit. You know what, it's a good thing I'm not going to be reusing this motor. But yeah, seriously though, apparently by holding the motor by the fans you can put stress on the actual bearing and you can damage it, or you could even break the fins. Then you'll be in trouble. Anyway, apart from this job being annoying to say the least, which is probably due to the fact I should have done a little bit of research on how to remove this motor before I even started the job, but I didn't. Anyway, the reason I'm making this video is because I have actually found this job to be a little bit interesting. It's something a little bit different. It's not every day you get to do a inverted heater fan. Anyway, what I'm going to do now, because the parts supplier have screwed up my order, I should have had the motor in my hand, placed in my hand by now. I actually ordered it yesterday. I've just rung them up about 5 minutes ago and they told me, oh sorry, there's been a bit of a mix-up. It'll be another 2 or 3 days. And I thought, that's no bloody good. The car's going for its test on Thursday, which is like 1 day away. But apparently they can get me another one for tomorrow morning. So as soon as I get this other motor, I'm going to put it all back together. And what I want to find out is, can I get my hand up the driver's side of the dash and release the motor without taking the steering column or the clutch pedal box out? That's what I want to know, and I'll let you know as soon as I've done that. So, hold that thought. You know what, I can't believe in all these years I've never changed a heater motor in one of these cars. They must be pretty good, blower motors that is, because flipping heck, we've had an awful lot of these bloody Mk4 Mondeos here as taxis for a long, long time. And this is the first one ever I've had to change a blower motor. Anyway, things haven't worked out too well. As promised by the parts supplier, I had a heater fan delivered this morning. The only problem is, it came in a cardboard box which looked like it had been opened and sellotape back up 20 bloody times over. I said to that bloody driver, you bloody wait there till I check this part. So I opened the box and it was the wrong motor, obviously. That's why it had been put back in the box so many times. So now I'm minus a heater motor. So I've got to wait another day. Unfortunately, the car has to go for its taxi test today. So I've had to put it back together, put the clutch pedal back on and the column back in so it can go and get tested. Then I've probably got to take it apart again. I did get down there. Now I've got it all back together. I did get down there and to see if I could fit my arm up between the clutch pedal and the heater box, whether I could get my arm up there to actually get my hand on the motor. I can't even get my hand on the motor, I can't even touch it. So I've got to take it apart again. Bummer. But anyway, now if you ever have to change a heater blower motor on a Mk4 Mondeo, at least you'll know how to do it. Right then, by the way, for those of you who give a about audio, you see that heater there? The blower motor on that heater is what's making my audio sound like I've got a microphone. Just thought I'd let you know that. Time to put this where it belongs. Now, See ya.